Look, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, fellas. I might have been wrong. I might have been wrong. You see, my headcanon, which, God, ain't that a curse of the human mind, huh? Fantastic thing the brain is, but man, if it doesn't have its downtimes. My headcanon was that Natlan was gonna be dark, gritty, and powerful. I thought the Natlan we'd enter would be home to the likes of the Aztec Jaguar warriors, the Ashanti warriors, the Shaka Zulus of the world. I thought he, the captain, the rank 1 of the Fatui Harbingers, clad in all black, was coming to fight the best, the strongest the nation of war has to offer. I thought the land that's been ravaged by unending war for thousands of years, presided over by the god of war, would be a hardy nation with rugged individuals. Yeah, well, you know, what's been teased to us is just a bit different.
Estoy hasta la puta madre.
Damn you, headcanon. Of the 2 teasers we've received pertaining to the next stop on our journey, there's been a palpable lack of war. So palpable, in fact, it feels intentional on Hoyo's part, unless it isn't. Now, I'm not saying there's no war in Natlan. I'm simply saying there's a whole other side to Natlan that's been described to us by NPCs that we're all forgetting, and that Natlan is a hub. A hub for what exactly? Their hot springs. Natlan is famous for their hot springs caused by the volcanic activity in the area. These springs are evidently so famous, people would risk their lives venturing into this war-torn nation just to experience them. You know, it'd be like if you really liked Skittles, but, you know, the only place on Earth that was still making them was Syria. You're really gonna go to Syria just for some Skittles? Now, if they were in, like, Amsterdam, sure, no problem. Syria? But that's the thing, right? So you wouldn't do it, because you wouldn't want to risk your life for Skittles entering a war-torn country. But NPCs that have visited Natlan don't describe it like that. As a matter of fact, had we gotten all our information about Natlan from NPCs, dare I say, we wouldn't even know there was a war going on. An NPC from Natlan, Susumu, yeah, that's how you say that fucker's name, says, quote, haha, it might be a little too much to call it glamour. Asia, Isa Bathhouse is a hot spring inn in Inazuma that I found after experiencing the volcanic hot springs in Natlan. The healing power of a hot spring is unforgettable once you've tried it. After I returned home, I also wanted my friends in Inazuma to experience that same warm and comforting feeling. Natlan is a country of red-hot passion, both in name and climate. And now with that said, things have been said about the nation's ability to fight, most notably the fact that they partake in, well, what I guess we're gonna call is the art of shadowboxing. Quotes, in my early years, I traveled abroad to study martial arts. There, I observed Natlan's boxing arts. When they practiced, they would fight with an imaginary opponent. Nigga, this is just... okay, whatever. Meanwhile, the boomer at Bayard Harbor adds, quote, when I was a lad, fucking Alamo, huh? I too had the sea as my home, and I sailed everywhere on a patrol boat, even up to the border with Natlan. I'd go out there again if I could. What an odd thing to say about a nation that's supposedly constantly seeing battle. So what's going on here? How is a country that's been at war for thousands of years also a fantastic nation to vacation and experience the hot springs? The two seem oxymoronic, but I believe it allows us to rule something out which was, fairly obvious before, but seems definitive now, and it's that Natlan is not at war with a foreign adversary, but rather itself. This really feels like the only option, given it can't be Celestia they're fighting, can't be the Abyss, and it certainly can't be another nation, so that literally just leaves themselves. And now with that said, this nukes my Skittles in Syria example from earlier, just because Syria is fighting itself, but what can you do? Now, this also doesn't really explain why foreigners have no problem hopping in, having a good time, and hopping out if there is a war going on. Sure, the war can be about something personal to the nation of Natlan that doesn't involve outsiders, but isn't that all civil wars? I guess, honestly, we just need to accept the warriors of Natlan just know not to target travelers. Honorable people they are, really. So what is this war about? No clue. But I have some thoughts. Everything we've been told regarding the war doesn't really give an indicator as to its cause, but rather, they all just plainly state there's always been war.
Natlan is also the nation of war. War ravages those lands like an undying flame.
Justice flows across the surface of the waters. War rages like a flame.
The rules of war are woven in the womb. The victors shall burn bright, while the losers must turn to ash. When the god of war shares this secret with the traveler, it is because she has her reasons.
Given Natlan has been at war for thousands of years, it's probably for some drawn-out reason. Honestly, they could just be fighting for ranks, Loki. You know, who's the strongest of the tribes? There's 6 of them, right? And given they have springs that heals the body, that could be why it's a never-ending war, huh? Although this would mean if after all this time they still don't know who's stronger, then they're either all evenly matched lords or evenly matched piles of dog shit. This could help to explain why they also don't fight foreigners, just cause what's the point? If the point of the war is to see who's the strongest among them, what good does defeating a random person who's visiting the nation do? The other reason they could be fighting could have something to do with dragons. Now remember, Natlan is currently said to be a nation of dragons. They live with them.
As far as I'm aware, Natlan can be said to be a nation of dragons.
A nation of dragons? You mean like you?
No, I suspect that I would not find myself welcome there. Unlike ancient dragons such as myself, the dragons of Natlan have undergone long years of development and evolution. Large numbers of them have entered a form of coexistence with humanity.
But their history with dragons runs much deeper than just this, because it seems like they lent a hand in taking down the worst of the dragons, that bastard crackhead dragon king evil. Quotes, the Narcissan Croy Ordo believes that people continuously refine themselves through samsara cycles. These include Hyperborea, Natlantion, Remuria, and the first half of the 4th samsara, Chronaria, which we are presently experiencing. Please take note that these are just names given to these eras by the Ordo based on ancient texts, and this evolution refers to spiritual evolution. There is no intent here to antagonize any research results obtained by the academia. The human spirit undergoes the loss of paradise, the defeat of evil dragons, the original sin and baptism, and finally, freedom from the gods. Now, honestly, I made another video way back when talking about the Nibelung Samsara and Natlan connection specifically. The problem is, the video was made in 4.3, which was early January, so the video is, a bit rough technically speaking, but if you care about what the Nibelung Natlan connection may be, it is there for you. One thing I did want to quickly add if you are going to watch that video that I didn't bring up is that the thing that furthers the connection between Nibelung and Natlan is what a Pep said and what Dainsliff said about Natlan. They're exactly the same.
The victors shall burn bright, while the losers must turn to ash.
In war, the victor would inherit the right to shape the world, while the losers must turn into ash.
The last thing I wanted to touch on regarding war in Natlan is that it could be on a just completely different plane of existence. I mean, look, it could be the war they fight is just in a completely separate, I don't know, is realm the right, Jesus Christ, right words? I mean, look, it could be the war they fight is just, on some place that isn't really accessible to those that aren't directly fighting in the war, and that could be why visitors can stop by without being scarred by the horrors of battle, and it's just they don't see it. It's just, does no one find it odd? None of the NPCs mention seeing these grand battles or anything like that. I'm telling you, something sus is going on here. I'm telling you, man.